Hi, my name's Matt Toronto, and I teach acting and directing at Penn State. And one of the courses I teach is acting for Shakespeare. And so we're going to talk a little bit about dealing with Shakespeare's language. And I think a lot of people get nervous about talking about Shakespeare and his language because it seems foreign, it seems weird, it's kind of, it's in verse and all of these things. And hopefully we're going to demystify that a little bit with some kind of concrete ways of approaching the language. And I think hopefully what you'll realize is that you already understand Shakespeare. He's writing about human beings just like you and me. We just have to figure out in the course of his language the clues that help us understand who these people are and what they want and what they're doing. So what we're going to do is I'll take you through the 5 keys to unlocking the bard. But before we do that, I want to show a little clip from a production of Romeo and Juliet that I directed that will give us sort of a start, and you'll probably recognize this passage, but we'll be dealing with it as we kind of unravel the language and find the clues that will help us understand it. So here's Romeo and Juliet.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Oh, rise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off! It is my lady. Oh, it is my love.
So that was a great clip from a production I directed at Penn State, and the actor in that is Gilbert Bailey, and the woman playing Juliet is Leah Miller, and they were both terrific actors. So I wanted you to be able to see somebody do a really great job with that particular speech, which is very, very familiar to many of us. What I want to do is, because that's a little bit familiar, sometimes we think we understand what that speech is, but there's much more to it, and we can kind of unravel what it's saying and really get a lot more from the language, from the speech, and from what's happening there. So we're going to go through the 5 keys to unlocking the bard's language, and the first key, the first step that we want to take is called follow the thought. And it just means what it sounds like it means. Follow the thought. What is the character saying? What is the character thinking? You take the words and try to figure out what they're saying. It's simple enough, but sometimes it takes a little detective work, okay? So we're going to look at it, and the first thing we should do is look up any words that we don't understand, okay? So if there's a word that looks like it's a key word to understanding what's going on, you can look it up. Try an old-fashioned dictionary. Try an online dictionary. You can also find online lots of Shakespeare glossaries, Shakespeare dictionaries, or an old-fashioned book, the way they used to make them. This one is one of my favorites. It's called A Shakespeare Glossary by C.T. Onions. Okay, and you can just look up the words. So say in the first line we're looking at it, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks? Maybe you don't know what the word yonder means. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, you look it up in the glossary, and then you realize it means over there. Simple. Over there. Yonder means over there. That thing over there. Okay? So we're going to look at this first line and try to translate it into modern day English. Okay? So, but soft. Who says but soft? Nobody says but soft, unless a but is very soft. We don't say that anymore. So we got to find, what is he really saying? What's going on? Well, he's looking up at a window and he says, but soft. I think he's saying, check it out. What's that? Holy moly. Holy cow. But soft. Check it out. What light through yonder window breaks? What's that light over there? Over yonder. What is that light? Okay? And then he goes on to the second line, and he defines what that light is. And he says, it's the east. And Juliet is like the sun rising in the east. Okay? And I think that's clear enough. And then it gets a little more complicated. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. So he says, rise up, Juliet, and kill the moon who's jealous because the moon is not as beautiful as you are. As fair, as beautiful as you are, right? And the moon is already sick and pale, sick and white and sickly and ugly with sadness because you, her maid, and you can look, thou, her maid. What is her maid? Thou, her servant. You, her servant, are more beautiful than she. Okay? And then he says, be not her maid, since she is envious. Okay, so don't be her servant, since she is jealous. Her vestal livery, okay, there's a word we should look up. What is a vestal livery? We'll find out that that is what devotees of the goddess Diana would wear. It's a vestal livery, a very chaste, virginal sort of uniform that a devotee of the goddess Diana would wear. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it, okay? Only fools wear that chaste sort of garment. Cast it off. And what I love in this little clip that I showed you is when he says cast it off, there she does. She takes off her robe, and he gets to see a little he gets to see a little action. What does Juliet look like when she's sort of getting undressed and getting ready for bed? And then the last line, it is my lady, oh, it is my love. He's just saying, that's my girl. That's the girl I'm in love with. Okay, and it's kind of simple when you break it down, and I hope that it wasn't too obvious, but if you just kind of translate it into your own words, it just helps you understand, what is this kid going through? He's still a kid. He's a teenager. What is he thinking? He's just looking at the girl he's in love and trying to process that. The other thing I wanted to mention, just as we go, as you follow the thought, a lot of times Shakespeare constructs his language in the form of an argument. To be or not to be is an argument, with Hamlet sort of weighing the choices. Should I kill myself? Should I not kill myself? And that's a lot of time what he does. So he uses a lot of rhetorical devices and things that help construct an argument. So you might think, as you follow the thought, is Shakespeare constructing an argument, trying to persuade someone, or trying to weigh the options? And you can kind of see that in a lot of the language, and we'll kind of see some of that later on today. But that's the first step, follow the thought. And if you do that and translate it into your own words, you're already miles ahead of the person who didn't take the time to do that.